This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
Namaste, a very good evening, and a very warm hello to all of you. Today, it is 7th of October, and we are recording this show. This is our another spectacular show for the Adhyatmik Yatra, or the journey of the soul. And the reason why I am using the word spectacular is because we are celebrating the Hindu Heritage Month, which is October, this current month. And today is October 7th, the World Bindi Day, and also the first day of Navaratri. So, isn't that spectacular? And I have something else also for you, which is actually going to make this show spectacular. So, who we have with us is Maheshananda. Now, who is Maheshananda? Maheshananda is a Westerner, and I I really I really don't know how to introduce him because there is so much to say, and I want you, my audience, to actually judge him by his words. But I can just give you a small introduction that Maheshananda ji, he has become one of the most influential teachers of integral yoga and Ayurveda in the world. He offers unique certification and educational programs internationally, and he maintains an active counseling practice that embraces Vedanta, Ayurveda, and Vedic astrology. And he is the founder of Dancing Shiva, an American educational and consulting organization. He promotes health, wellness, societal reforms by means of embracing a universal form of spirituality. And the other name of the universal form of spirituality is Sanatan Dharma. So let us all welcome Maheshananda.
Namaste and pranams, Anjali.
Namaste, namaste. It is such a pleasure to have you here. I I don't have words to express because I have been looking forward to this interview because when I saw you in the conference, which was recently held, the Global Conference on September 9 to 11, I was very impressed with your knowledge of Sanatan Dharma. So now let me start this session by asking you this first question, that being a Westerner, what was it about Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism that has attracted your attention?
Yes, thank you. That's a great question and an important one. I think more than anything, like many of us that are born in a Western culture, we're very much influenced by Christianity, Jesus Christ as sort of the avatar of the West. The teachings didn't answer all the questions that I was searching for. As we know, and many of the great gurus that came to the West have helped us to understand that original Christianity has changed much, especially over the last 2,000 years. It has diverged much from its original teachings. And as Paramahansa Yogananda really truly explained in the most concise and detailed way, um, Christianity has very strong links to yoga and the yoga tradition and the land of Sanatana Dharma. And that link for me was pivotal. The fact that this teaching is founded on a much deeper, a broader and more comprehensive teaching, that was it. And as I explored those connections, I realized I found the source. And that source is Sanatana Dharma. I'm not hearing you, Anjali. Could
I
you?
am sorry, I was talking on mute. So let me repeat myself. Your response was really beautiful. And of course, Paramhansa Yogananda and his autobiography of a yogi is one of the classics, spiritual classics. And he was one of the modern yogis of I would say 21st century. So, yes, definitely, I am not surprised that your life has had such a positive impact. And, based on his teachings, you are what you are, and now we have you here. So, I wanted to actually talk a little bit more about, and just to get your perspective on Sanatan Dharma. And, currently the festival of Navaratri is going on, right? Today is the first day of Navaratri. Navaratri is celebration of the divine feminine, the divine energy. And this celebration is being observed all over the globe. Now, what is your perspective on Navaratri, on the worship of Devi, the Divine Mother, the Divine Feminine, and what do you think is the best way to celebrate Navaratri?
Yes. I'm humbled to be doing this show, Bharat TV, on this auspicious day of Navaratri. And as we all know, it begins with salutations and pranams to Ma Durga. And those first 3 days, we offer our pranams to Durga. And to me, what is fascinating about, again, what really drew me to this culture is the recognition of the feminine divine, that, love, this idea of God, pure consciousness, is not just a male energy, it is both equally male and female. And this important celebration um, is one of the most important in the whole year of all the Hindu festivals. The way I have integrated the teachings of Navaratri is not merely and only limited to the period that the festival exists, which is typically in October of each year, but to recognize that the goddess exists in all of us. And Navaratri represents the threefold aspect of the goddess, mainly with Durga and her connection and her symbolism for our capacity to overcome gross impurities of the mind, malas. These are just the basic obstacles to our spiritual evolution: greed, jealousy, anger. And Durga is that icon, that symbol of courage and strength to overcome that. And she gives us that, what is said, that Kriya Shakti, that inspiration to change, that inspiration to overcome these obstacles. And then we have the 3 days dedicated to Mother Lakshmi. And Lakshmi represents the abundance, the connection that we gain from connecting the mind into the heart, also referred to as the power of Icha Shakti. And this power is one that allows us to dissolve what is called a vikshepa, or a distracted mind, a mind that is not focused, a mind that is disturbed. And the way that we balance this type of a mind is by opening the heart. When we open our hearts, we heal our minds.
Mhm.
And so she represents that abundance. When we think of Lakshmi Devi or Bhumi Devi, she brings that. Now, there's another aspect that I really love about, hence her term, Bhumi.
Maheshananji, before you go forward with this explanation, I do have a question.
Yeah,
You mentioned that Devi Lakshmi, she, yes, we all know that she represents abundance. Of course, she is worshipped during the season of Diwali, and by all the businessmen, because she represents money. But I'm hearing this for the first time, that she represents focus. And could you please explain a little bit more on that? Because usually, things like money, abundance, materialistic wealth, they are considered more of distractions in Sanatan Dharma. So, how is it that by worshiping Mother Lakshmi, we can improve our focus?
yes, this is an excellent question, and it brings much deeper um, understanding of this. Well, in Vedantic thought, we are not the body, we are not the mind. And the heart is where our very essential being exists, the Atman, the indwelling soul. And the disconnection that we've developed because of society today, because of Maya, and the power of the senses, illusion, the ego, all of these byproducts of the mind, conditions of the mind, have taken us away from our true essence. And what is that essence? It is love, it is devotion, it is that connection, that portion of pure consciousness that exists in each and every one of us. And again, as long as the mind is disturbed, vikshepa, distracted, we are far from feeling and having that connection to the heart. So Lakshmi Devi is an important symbol of purification of the heart, of opening the heart. And that is the abundance that she gives us. It's not merely, as you know, material abundance. This is about spiritual abundance. And lastly, and to answer your question, we have Saraswati Devi, and she represents the power of gyan, the power of knowledge, creativity. And this is represented in the highest chakras, at the Agnya chakra, there at the third eye, where we recognize the union of sun, of moon. And so these three aspects of the goddess, as one aspect, one form, one energy, are within us, within this chakra system, within this body of consciousness that all of us have.
Maheshananji, this is a very important um actually aspect of the goddess that you have mentioned. And just to remind everyone, today is the World Bindi Day. And the reason why I bring this up, because you mentioned Agya Chakra with relation to Lakshmi. And just a few days back, I had created this video on the World Bindi Day, because I mentioned that why is it that we put the bindi here and we focus here? I did not say Agya Chakra, but I'm glad that you mentioned that. And that is because this is the seat of calmness, love, joy, right? Peace. And now it makes sense, I can put two and two together, because during a Navaratri, our focus needs to be here, and that is where Lakshmi resides. So
Mm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the conclusion I'm able to draw from the explanation that you provided for Lakshmi, the abundance and the focus.
Yes, let me just be a little bit more specific. Lakshmi Devi is connected more to the Anahata chakra, the center of our being, the heart. And Saraswati Devi is more connected to the Agnya chakra, the Hayat, the
Oh,
Bindi.
I see. Okay.
So the purification of the mind, the capacity to gain in gyan and pure knowledge, pure consciousness, it depends on expansion of the heart, of opening the heart.
Mhm.
So Lakshmi Devi plays a pivotal role in the purification that occurs by being more capable of carrying more knowledge and being more receptive. You know, as we often say,
Mhm.
knowledge is not always limited to something that we think or read on the superficial level. It's not just information, it's knowing. And we cultivate knowing by feeling. It's something we know, and it is linked to pure consciousness.
Beautifully explained. Beautifully explained. So the journey to our, to our focus, to our peace and calm is through the heart. So Lakshmi opens our heart, and then we reach here, to we connect with Saraswati. Is that right? I hope I've explained it
Yes,
properly.
yes, and they all play an equal role. The idea is that we don't just skip over the heart, we don't just jump to the spiritual eye.
Mhm.
It's an integral process. This takes time. And all of the chakras are important. Mother Durga plays an important aspect. You know, we have to be grounded, we have to be stable, we have to be consistent. And the spiritual path has to be developed on a strong foundation. We can't just rush and expect to have, as Guruji often said, you know, the spiritual path is not simply the 4th of July. It's not just a bunch of experiences and candies, as I often say, spiritual candy. It's an arduous path. It challenges us in many ways, and it's hard work. Sadhana, as we all know, is hard work. So
Maheshananji, for we have a wide variety of audience, and some people may relate to the terminology spiritual path, and there might be quite a few who do not relate to the concept of a spiritual path, the concept of chakras. And most of the time, when we are talking about the celebration of Navaratri, or when we're talking about Sanatan Dharma, it's more about the outward celebration, which is important, of course. But in the language of a layman, for a common person who does not know much about, who doesn't have a concept of spiritual path, how would you explain it to them that what does a spiritual path mean, or why is it important for everybody or the humanity to get onto some kind of a spiritual path or some kind of a sadhana?
mhm, mhm. Yes, this is a wonderful question. So what Sanatana Dharma has taught me and allowed me to enjoy is that the spiritual path is not limited to just a series of techniques and practices. It is not simply what we do when we sit on a cushion and do what is termed in yoga as sadhana, disciplinary practices. Sadhana on the deeper level is the relationship that we have with nature, with life, and the whole entire world. So sadhana is essentially becoming more disciplined in the way that we recognize the divine and see that the divine exists in all living things. Humans, animals, this entire planet is divine. And that's what was so attractive to me about this tradition, that we can choose how we connect. Each one of us connects to the divine. If you want to see the divine as Ganesh or as an elephant, then that is your image. If you want to see the Lord as Shiva or as the feminine aspect or in nature, so many forms exist. And this is the idea that this energy, this consciousness pervades all living things. And as we grow in our relationship to the world, to nature, and essentially what we're doing is growing in our compassion, growing in our capacity to be sensitive. I'm not talking about sensitivity on the sensory level, but attunement, a finer attunement that our mind begins to develop so that we begin to see the hand, the divine hand, behind the mundane experiences of life. We're beginning to listen to the world. The world starts to speak to us. The messages that we see that coming through our friends, through our family, through our experiences, the divine is speaking to us through all of these channels.
Absolutely. So I have another question. Uh, I understand it is at the end of the day the connection with the divine, and that is what Sanatan Dharma is based on, and any form of energy that you can relate to. Now, coming back to the theme of Navaratri, you know, it spans for 9 days. Each day is dedicated to a different form of energy of the Devi or the divine feminine. So, what is it that we women can learn from these different aspects of the Devi? I know you spoke about the energy of Saraswati, the energy of Lakshmi, but if you could elaborate a little bit more, focusing on being a woman, what is it that we women can learn from it?
Yeah. You know, I in the Western world, I often think that men have a lot more to learn about worshiping the goddess than women do.
Okay,
Uh,
then in that case, let me change my question. So, what is it that we as humans can learn from these different aspects of Devi?
yeah, I think that in my view and what I've been developing in my own work is that the world is out of balance because of a lack of balance
Mhm.
between the feminine and masculine energies. Call them whatever you want, male, female, sun, moon, goddess, god. The importance is that we are neither male, we are neither female. And what we're learning to do is recognize that there is one truth, one single consciousness, one energy that pervades all living things. Now, when we refer to nature, we don't refer to nature as Father Nature, right, or Papa Nature. We refer to nature as Mother Nature, capital M, capital N, meaning that she and that presence of consciousness, that divinity is within nature. This whole world is like a womb where all things are born. That creative capacity comes out of this womb, or what we could refer to as Prakriti. And so within this womb, we have this capacity to grow from life, to attain intelligence. From there, the ego develops and our capacity to enjoy the world. We're here to enjoy the world. And that to me is what is so attractive in the Devi. There is this playfulness, this beauty, these all these different very attractive energies that are within the Devi's presence, that is within nature. And more than anything, on a very practical level, I think the most important thing that we can do is to begin to treat our bodies in a respectful way. Because this body is born of the Devi. This body comes from Bhumi. Our body is a miniature earth, right? And this body is born in the womb of Prakriti, the womb of the mother. And as we begin to treat our own body with respect, with care, as a sacred place, a temple, this is the temple. This is where we worship Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati. All of those energy centers are here inside of our body. So I often say that the primary relationship to recognizing the Devi's powers, the Shakti, is within this body. We have to start taking care of it, keep a healthy body, keep a strong body. And as you treat yourself, you treat the world. If you treat your body good, you will most likely treat this world in a respectful way, and you will show that you care for the world.
And I think that is what is happening these days, because it's true that we have abused our bodies. I think I'm hearing an echo. All right, it's better now. It's true that we have abused our bodies, and we have abused Mother Nature also. And we are reaping the results, in the form of corona and other diseases which are widespread. So I want to ask you that Sanatan Dharma, how can it improve the quality of an average person? And the reason why I'm asking you this question, because now I want to divert our conversation to you, the other expertise that you have, which is on yoga, on Ayurveda. So if you could help our audience understand that what role does Sanatan Dharma have to play when it comes to things like Ayurveda, yoga?
Yes. So we have to remember that there is no beginning, there is no end to Sanatana Dharma, right? It is an eternal tradition. And within this body of knowledge, there are many great, you could say, teachings or sciences. And yoga is probably the most known of these. It was brought to the West by the great pioneers like Vivekananda and Yogananda and Ramtirth and others. And so yoga is basically a system of unraveling the mind. It's a system of cultivating unity consciousness or developing um, a recognition that one truth exists. In my view, and now studying both yoga and Ayurveda and practicing them together, I have realized that we cannot do one without the other. Many people do yoga, they practice yoga maybe in the form of hatha yoga, or they do the meditation form of yoga, or the bhakti yoga, gyan yoga, karma yoga, whatever it is. The basis for this work and Sanatana Dharma is that we follow an integral yoga, a complete system that unravels all four aspects of every single human being. We have a practical side, karma yoga. We have an intellectual side, gyan yoga. We have an emotional side, bhakti yoga. And we have an inherent spiritual side to us. We are sentient beings. We are looking for the one. We're all born with that, whether male or female. We are born looking for something, something that will change and transform the way that we live on this planet. These four aspects are within every human being. So yoga must be practiced in an integral way, and the sister to that is Ayurveda, the science of life, the science of living in relationship to nature, living and finding harmony with the seasons. Who creates the seasons? Who creates night and night and day? Who creates all of the changes that we're experiencing on this planet? It's the movements of the sun, the moon, and the earth. And these movements create a fluctuation. And all of us have to find a relationship to nature. If you don't practice yoga with Ayurveda, you will find yourself out of balance. Why? Because yoga is not designed to heal you in the physical sense. What yoga does is it exposes your weaknesses. It shows you where you need to make improvement. Yoga shows you what karma you have to change. Okay, you start doing yoga and you realize, my gosh, I have back pain, or I'm not sleeping well at night. And I have seen now over 20 years, having an Ayurveda clinical practice, many yoga teachers, many practitioners of yoga that don't have health and balance. They have sadhana, but now the well-being of their body is become an obstacle for them to practice sadhana. Their body hurts. They can't sit still in meditation. They don't sleep well. They develop ojakshaya or fatigue. So health of the body, Ayurveda. Balance and evolution of the mind, yoga. The two go together.
So, I just didn't want to interrupt you, but I do have a question here. It seems like the American way of life can actually integrate yoga, or I would say that it'll be really beneficial for them if they do that. So, what practical aspects of yoga or Ayurveda can be integrated into the American culture?
Yeah, as we know from some of the recent studies, there are somewhere between 25 to 30 million people in America practicing mainly what we know as hatha yoga, the physical yoga, the postural yoga. There are many more in that follow lineage-based traditions that are meditating, that are practicing more bhakti yoga, and these types of yogas. And I would say that that number is much larger. But the beautiful thing of our tradition is that there is a door for everyone. There is a path for everyone. Each and every person must find their way. Each person must find their door. You have to knock on the door and it will open. Some of us may find a certain path in. Hatha yoga is very practical. It's very good for building the mind body relationship. I have often spoken on this topic because the what we're seeing today, and especially now, as I'm hopeful to say that we're moving into a post coronavirus era. What the virus has done is exposed the world and presented the true health status of the world. The world can now see how dysfunctional our well being is, how fractured the mind body relationship is because of medical systems, because of the abuse of very poor diets, the use of alcohol, prescription medications, and a world of stress. All of these things have broken health. They have broken the mind body relationship. Hatha yoga is a perfect system. It's an ideal system for balancing mind and body. Why? Because it teaches you to concentrate, it teaches you to have discipline over your body. 99% of this world is ruled by their body. Their body says this, the mind follows like a little dog on a leash. If the senses say this, their mind follows. They have no discipline over their bodies. And Hatha Yoga is the perfect system to start to say, you know what? I do have a powerful mind and I can control this body. And I can make better choices in my life. I can eat better food. I can get up early and do something about my life. It's about taking responsibility. And this is why, to me, yoga is so important today, because we need to teach individual responsibility. We have to stop depending on systems. We have to stop depending on medical systems, on insurance policies, doctors, and vaccines for our health. You are the answer. You have the capacity. Work that mind, work that body.
So, yes, that was very profound. And I totally agree that we have to work on our bodies. We have to take the responsibility for our bodies, for our health, what we eat, what we actually put inside our systems. So, being from the IT background, I know that, we always say what you put in, that is what comes out. And same thing applies to our bodies as well. But my question to you is that you mentioned something about karma. uh, so you mentioned that when we are practicing yoga, and if there is some ailment that, or some kind of a body ache or some discomfort that we feel, it is connected to your karma, or to the planetary positions. So how would you explain that? That is something which was something new for me.
Yes. Yeah, this is brilliant. This is the brilliance of this tradition. Okay, we have a remarkable yoga tradition, and vast and complete. We have an Ayurvedic tradition, a system of health, of well being, of dietetics, herbology, balancing the elements in the body. And then we have a great system known as Jyotish, the Vedic astrology that follows the sidereal zodiac. There are some differences between this zodiac and the tropical, or what is regarded as the Western astrology. And Jyotish is the system that was originally an integral part of Ayurveda. And Ayurveda looked at what is known as the birth chart. And by looking at the birth chart, what we're seeing is a picture in the sky of a person's karma, a history of all their lives. And that picture in the sky is the moment that your soul comes into this earth. We come out head first, normally or typically. And when we come out into the world, we take that first breath. When we take that first breath and we come into this world, that sky that is above us is the birth chart. And it is a picture, a representation of the karma, the history of all of the choices, the mental choices, the experiences that each human being has had. Those karmas influence our health. This is the basis for what we refer to as mind-body medicine. It was a term that was coined more so in the modern era. I give credit to the modern yoga movement that came out of Bengal in the late 1800s, 1900s, when the Bengalis were fighting colonialism, East India, the British occupation to India during that time. And they knew how powerful this system was. And they used this understanding of karma, astrology, to grow, to develop moral strength, to evolve. And so mind-body relationship, it shows in the birth chart. And so in Ayurveda, we'll look at the chart, we'll look at the rising sign, the lagna, we'll look at where the sun, moon, and planets are placed in the chart. And by looking at the birth chart, we can get a great idea of a person's capacity for health, their capacity to do yoga, All of these things are indicated in the chart, and it really gives really deep insights to giving advice to a person as to health issues that may be coming up in the near future.
Yes, that is that. I mean, I don't know what to say because this is a very, very new system of knowledge that has, that you're revealing to us right now. Of course, we are familiar with Ayurveda, we are familiar with astrology, but this relationship, this very close connection of astrology with Ayurveda and with your past karmas. This is something which I'm hearing for the first time. So I want to understand one thing. We have a lot of astrologers in, especially in India these days, and how is it possible? Is there a specific branch of Vedic astrology that deals with the health concerns? And can just any astrologer tell a person about their ailments? And of course, like, let's say for instance, a person's chart shows that their ailment is like really deep rooted in some very deep seated karma. How can they overcome that? Should, or if it is very, very deep seated, and if they are not able to uproot that in this lifetime, are they not going to become very discouraged and disheartened? So is there any remedy for such cases?
Yeah.
So so the,
Mhm.
there are like, I actually three questions I asked in one. So
Yeah. Okay.
first question, first part is about the connection between karma and the Vedic astrology, and the astrologer, the right is how to find the right astrologer, and how much of that karma is actually related to Vedic astrology, to what extent we can overcome. And if we cannot overcome, then what do we do?
Yeah. That's where prayer comes in. And that's where the divine's help comes in.
Mhm.
Let me just start from where you began the question. This is not a new system. Ayurveda and Jyotish have been together. They're part of the original Vedic tradition. They separated into their own science, if you will, over thousands of years' time. But there are a lot of astrologers out there, and very, very proficient and remarkable in their work. I find that there are many just pure Vedic astrologers, but there aren't many that are integrating the Ayurveda component. And I find that's the area that I enjoy. I have a propensity to uh, want to understand why a person has certain health issues. Why is it that they struggle to eat well? Or why is it that when you look at their parents are healthy, there is no correlation to a disease from the gene side, on the genetic side, through the parents. The person exercises, they do well, they seem to be following the rules and following the principles of health and wellness, but yet, they discover that they have some chronic disease. Why does that happen? That is karma. And this is where the birth chart can be very effective. So, if an astrologer has some understanding and some training in Ayurveda, he can recognize where the influence is uh, to the body, because the zodiac, the 12 signs of the zodiac, correspond to 12 major sections in the body. And so these areas are highlighted and connected to elements: earth, water, fire, and air. And those elements we can also connect to dosha, the constitutional or humors of Ayurveda. And so everything is a connection of the dots. The karma to the influence of the mind. The karma or the action of the house and its element to the chakra. The chakras are connected to emotions. Sadness is kapha, more the upper part of the body. Anger, jealousy, aggressiveness, the middle part of the body. And fear, anxiety, the lower part of the body. And so the emotions that we carry, the consciousness that we carry, influences the body. So psychology influences biology. And the chart is a map to help us to understand that. And this can be explored and studied in a very profound way or in a very simple way. You can look at very simple, very practical factors that any astrologer may have, at least a well-developed astrologer, and say, look, this part of the body is being afflicted by this planet, or the energy of this planet is deficient, and there may be some influence to the area of your hips or to the elimination or the digestive system. And so these indicators are there. And so if you're looking for healing, if you're looking for well-being, I would say look to a Jyotishi who has some connection to Ayurveda, and also maybe also yoga, because they work together and different remedies can be given. There's much that we can do. That's what this is. In fact, that's what I accredit Swami Sri Yukteswar, which was the great guru of Paramahansa Yogananda, who was not only a realized master of yoga, but also was very, very evolved in the use of astrology. And there's that famous story in the autobiography how he used astrology to help Yogananda overcome an ailment that he developed in one of his organs. And simple remedies that he gave, some yogic things, probably some herbs and wearing of different metals, helped to reduce that. So this is where this leads to, right? Here's the culmination. Everything matters. If you can take a herb and get a little bit more benefit, do it. If you can do a mantra that'll give you a little more devotion or more concentration, do it. Everything matters. It's a whole system. We can't just say, this is the way, here's the box, here's the little cookie program, and throw it out at everyone. Different people need different paths, and we have to work with the system this way. This is what's beautiful about Sanatana Dharma.
Absolutely, that is very true. Human beings are complicated. Everybody, like people in the same family, two individuals are not the same. So, my next question to you: can you share with us some examples where you have how you have applied Ayurveda and Jyotish together? Some real life examples.
Sure.
I think people would be interested in knowing that.
Sure. I've seen many cancer cases, and I often get a lot of cases that involve people that have some discomfort. They're feeling some issue with their body. Yet the x-rays don't show anything. They go to the allopathic doctors, the tests show everything is okay. But yet the patient says, it's not okay. I don't feel right. Something's not working with me. I'm concerned. They come to me, and I'll share one case particular. I've seen so many in this particular way. Woman comes to me complaining of certain discomforts in her body. and I ask her a series of questions. And one of the most important ones that I ask most people, do you have a health and wellness background? That means, do you exercise regularly? Have you been following a good balanced diet? Do you eat well? Do you make good food choices? So if that's in place, then the chances for overcoming the disease are much stronger. Okay, if that isn't in place, and the person says, I've tried, I start working out and I exercise and then I stop. I've tried some yoga, but I just don't stick with it. So I get the point that you're not really doing something consistently. You start and stop. It's not really an integral part of your life. And the woman says, I want to do something about my health. I'm not holding weight very well. I'm not sleeping very well. I have tried to make changes in my life, but I haven't been able to. And I said, okay, let me look at your chart. I look at her chart and I see some difficult indicators in both her sixth house and the eighth house. Typically, benefic planets like Jupiter and the moon in either the sixth or the eighth houses bring much concern to me, okay? Because these areas of the body affect the way we eliminate, they affect our nervous system, and affect our psychology on a deep level. And this particular person has very poor health and wellness background, smoking, drinking, not a good diet. And I see a forecast. I look ahead in the coming months and years, and I see a very concerning transit in the chart. Without giving much detail, I expressed to the woman and I said, look, you've been smoking for many years. You've been drinking for many years. Your diet is not well. And I can tell you this, I'm not speaking about one specific person. I've seen handfuls of cases like this. And I tell them that first, you need to make changes right away. And because you don't have that history, you don't tell me, you don't show me that you can do it yourself. I need you to get into a group. I need you to work with a counselor. I need you to be a part of a community because the environment is more powerful than you are, and you need that support. And I encourage these individuals to be a part of a health group. I encourage them to come to India with me, to do panchakarma, to practice meditation and yoga together with other individuals that are doing it, people that inspire you to change. And they do. These people come. They have come to work with me. I invite them to other events, and I tell them, this transformation is not going to take place in a week. It's not going to take place in a month. It's going to take months and years to transform this and to reverse the karmic patterning that you've developed so that we can purify the body, purify the mind, and remove them as obstacles. We have to remove them as obstacles. We're not the body, we're not the mind. And so it's a process. And so these are the practical things that I look at. First, who is the person? What is their history? What is their capacity to change? And what is the chart stay? And so I work with these two things, and I try and direct these individuals into Sangha, Satsanga, right? And I really, truly embrace this more than anything else, that satsanga can purify us. Good sangha can change our life in every way. And this is an example of that.
So I would like to know, Maheshananda, I'm sure our audience would also like to know, what happened to that lady? What was the result? Did she listen to you? Did she change her diet? And did she make any changes to her lifestyle?
Yeah, and I am referring to a couple of people, and both of those individuals that I'm specific, and these are in recent times, but I've seen many, as I've said over the years, um, have made substantial changes. They made the commitment. They have done detoxification. And as motivating as I try to be, and I want them to do more because I'm looking at things from another perspective. And I also have to be very careful. We also have to be very compassionate and kind with each person as to how we deliver that information, because each person has their way, their capacity, and we want to respect that. So even if they start making a small diet change, great, keep going. This is good. This is a great step. If they start doing a little meditation, a little hatha yoga, good. This is another change, another exercise of your willpower, of your development of your strength of mind. And they have done very well. Um, I've seen this even with cases of AIDS. Person come in with very, very little weight. They were in the 200-pound range. These are men. And they said, listen, I don't want to go the route of modern medicine. I want to heal myself traditionally. And I say, follow these rules, you follow these principles. It will make a difference. And they've done that. And I've seen Ayurveda, diet, yoga, and the new lifestyle change these lives. And it's so special because you see their bodies get strong again. You see their smile, their joy come back, their energy levels come back. And funny enough, when I think of a few individuals, one in particular many years ago, did well for months. And then 6 months later, he broke from following the rules and he came back. He says, oh, Mas, I have broken the rules. I feel terrible again. I've lost weight. I'm weak again. And I'm worried again that this disease is going to take me over. And I said, do you realize how important these principles are? Do you realize that these are universal laws? I didn't create them, right? These are universal. They apply to every one of us. And when they do it, when we follow the teachings of Sanatana Dharma, when we follow the teachings of the Guru, they deliver results.
Thank you so much, Maheshananda ji. And there is a lot for us to, as a takeaway from the session. Proper diet, proper exercise, very important to abstain and stay away from intoxicants, and to be compassionate, and to invigorate ourselves and re-energize ourselves during this Navaratri season with the different feminine energies which are going to be manifesting in each of these 9 days. Starting with today, we are recording our program today on October 7th, which is the first day of Navaratri. But we have another 8 days left. So I would suggest, friends, audience, listeners, please listen to Maheshananji's lecture. Well, I think lecture is not the right word, but your suggestion, your advice. And why don't we all do some introspection and see if we need to make changes to our diet, to our lifestyle, and what is it that we can do to boost our energies. And if any one of you wants to get in touch with Maheshananji, his website is called dancingshiva.com. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yes, dancingshiva.com. And I'm sure there is a lot that you all can benefit. So thank you so much. Wishing you all a very happy Navratri, a very happy World Bindi Day. And this is, again, Adhyatmik Yatra, the journey of your soul, and it is just your journey alone. And I wish you all the best in this journey. And we'll see you again next time. Thank you so much, Maheshananda, for this wonderful opportunity and the wonderful session that you have given to us and the time that you have spent with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.